So today I thought we'd try something interesting and different. Um, this is going to be Ubuntu, which is hard to say. Basically, take Ubuntu and put a W in front of it. Because the idea is that this is a version of Ubuntu that is highly, highly stylized to look like Windows 11. And I know that seems rather strange, but that's okay. We're going to give it 2 CPU slices here on our virtual box, and 2 gig sounds about right. We're just kind of, excuse me, kind of winging it. We're going to go ahead and let that finish, and we'll start it. Pointing at the ISO that I downloaded from the Wunbuntu, which is, that's hard to say with a straight face. Notice that it looks like Windows 11 as it's starting. And the question I want you to ask yourself as we install this, is this worthwhile? This is a highly philosophical question because it's obviously not Windows 11. It's obviously not Windows. It is Linux. So should we be hiding Linux to make it look like Windows 11? That's your philosophical question for today. And here it is. Pops right up. It certainly looks like Windows 11, doesn't it? Let's go down here and open up. That's remarkable. Okay, I want to go ahead and install this because I want to get it into a Windows, a style that looks a little more reasonable. It's so small here, resolution-wise. Matter of fact, can we just set the display? Let's try doing that. Here we go, 800 by 600. Let's choose this one and apply it. And that's a little too big. Let's revert back and let's go with what do you say? Maybe this one? Apply that. That's better. We'll keep that. We can move this over here and maybe drop that out. That's just. I'm still getting over. I mean, look how much that looks like Windows 11. You gotta admit that is pretty impressive. All apps. Let's see what we have here. These are obviously not Windows applications, but here is Dolphin, which is a file manager for Linux, but they have stylized it once again to look like Windows 11. You have your downloads folder, you have pictures, you have videos, you have music, have all the different areas here. I'm just kind of giddy about this. This is pretty cool, I gotta admit. Let's keep rolling through. Now these are the online versions of the Microsoft suite of tools: Excel, OneNote, Outlook, People, PowerPoint, Word. All these, but notice this, Microsoft Copilot. Now, that really is supposed to be Microsoft Copilot. Now, I haven't used Microsoft Copilot. That could be a show unto itself, because this is Microsoft's new, you can see I have it installed down here. near the start button on my host machine, which is a Windows 11 machine. But that is, Microsoft has added that because that is their entree into AI on Windows, which I haven't used. Don't know that I'm all that excited about it. Maybe I'll change my tune as I get to working with it. They have only Office here, which is my preferred non-Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint style Office suite, which is nice. They have Power Toys. Again, obviously not the Microsoft version. Remote desktop client. Spectacle to cut your screenshots. VLC player. Widgets. Wine tricks. So they do have Wine installed here. Thunderbird. All these things that I typically use myself under Windows 11. They have Chrome here installed. But they also have Microsoft Edge installed, which I must admit, Microsoft Edge is the current browser that I use even in Windows. Who would have thought that there would ever be a day that I would actually use a Microsoft browser? But I do actually like Edge. It's based on Chromium. And we'll accept that. Confirm. Yeah. We don't want to do any of that. Let's just get out of here. And the Microsoft Start. And this is the actual Edge. This is Edge for Linux that it's running. So that's pretty cool. I mean, this is nice. I gotta admit, I like this. The question that I would have is, can I install this on a machine, give it to a Windows user that's never used Linux, and have them use this and be happy? You know, that would be the question. Kate is I believe, a KDE version of Notepad that gives you Notepad capabilities. I would use Notepad++, which they make for Linux, so I'd be fine there. You can obviously use Android here as well, so Android is built in. The possibilities are fascinating to think about this. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I started to do this earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and start the install. This is Windows Ubuntu 11.43. American English, that sounds correct. New York, that's where I'm not in New York, but I'm in that time zone. Default keyboard. Yeah, we want to erase the disk because this is a virtual machine. Name. What name do I like to log in with? VirtualBox, we'll leave it at that, sure. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Log in automatically. This is just a test box. So, not the password I would typically use, not the setup I would typically use, but, you know, it'll be good to go ahead and install this and see it run, so to speak, natively. Obviously, it's not native because it is on a VirtualBox machine, but it appears to be running rather well. This is in demo mode that we've just been kind of fooling around looking at it. But I mean, it looks like Windows 11. It acts like Windows 11. It for all intents and purposes, look and feel wise, I don't see anything here that would throw me. Now, it took me a while to get used to going from Windows 10 to Windows 11. It was a little learning curve there for certain things. Matter of fact, I'm curious about this. If I go into, actually I started the install, it's probably not a good time to try Played around. It would have had no. Okay. Sure. Let's see what I got here. If I got anything under any of these directories, no, probably not. No documents. Yeah, there's just not. I don't have anything there to really play with, and since I'm doing the install, it probably won't do anything else. But I'm curious as to how far they carry the little slight changes that Windows 11 has done over Windows 10. But we can look at that later. Right now, I'm just letting it do the install. I have in the past used Linux XP, I think it was called, which was a Windowsy version of Linux. And I did allow one of my less technical users to run that on their PC. They were determined that they wanted to try Linux. And I said, "Are you sure?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, I'll give it a shot." So I gave them one that looked as much like Windows as possible. And they ran it for about a year with no issues. You know, they ended up having a few issues because they wanted to install some software and they thought they could just give Windows software and install it and it would run, which obviously is not the case. But as long as they were just surfing the web and printing documents and using their word processor and spreadsheet and so forth, it worked fine. So it just depends. This is what it comes down to. It depends. I think if you were a user that was used to the Windows 11 interface and somebody installed this on your computer, you know, backed up all your data and transferred that over and so forth, you could probably use it, not have any issues, keeping in mind, like I said, that the first time you go into your local software store, whatever that is, if they exist anymore, and buy a Windows package and try to install it on Linux, it's probably not going to work, particularly if it's a game. But at the same time, Wine is getting better all the time, and you know, there is a chance that it would run and run fine as long as Wine was set up and operating correctly. So there's that. But I just think this is interesting. I think if Microsoft makes good on some of their threats, that they're going to start charging us for Windows every month, then a lot of us are going to jump ship, obviously. And when that happens, you're going to start scrambling looking for viable alternatives. And I think for right now, this is a possible viable alternative to go Linux, except to go with a Windows 11 style. And it looks like they have gone to a lot of trouble to make sure that this is quite compatible and look and feel wise, not a hard transition. Now, obviously, what I would recommend is if you're serious about Linux for real, then get a real Linux, learn its subtleties. But that's going to take you some time, and maybe you don't have the time and or inclination to do that. And so you'd rather have a Windows lookalike that looks and feels like what you're used to, and you could just keep using the software you're used to using. Now, while that's completing installation, if you notice what I have installed here, almost every one of my applications that I run, there's a Linux version for. Thunderbird, there's a Linux version. Only Office, obviously, Linux version as well. VNC is, you can run that under Linux. Most every one of these applications that I run will run in both worlds. Even my Notepad++, which I use for almost everything, including my organization and so forth, of work that I do. That will run under Wine, the Windows version. But there's also a Notepad, I think it's called QQ, that is native to Linux. So, that works. Let's go ahead and reboot. We're going to restart Wunbuntu. Now that it's finished installing. And when it restarts, it may come up and prompt me and say, yeah, that's what I thought. Remove installation media. Drives. We want to remove the ISO here. Remove this from virtual machine. Looks like it's already moved. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and see if it has been removed. Okay. Let's close that out. Go back up here. Display settings again. And go back to our larger settings. I'm not going to do an update right now. Apply that. And keep it. And okay. And if I come here and right click, interesting, different behavior than I'm used to there. If I come in here, okay, stream, system monitor, system settings. That's what I'm curious about. Okay. Network and internet. This doesn't have Wi-Fi, so I wouldn't expect that. Counts. Okay. Interesting. About, that's what I was looking for. Okay. Domain or work group, yeah. Power toys. Activation key. Change product key or update Power Toys edition. Huh. Remote desktop. Games. So I mean, this is pretty cool. Pretty interesting stuff. Definitely something here you might want to think about playing with. So I just wanted to give you a look at this today, and you can decide whether it's worth downloading the free ISO and installing it yourself. If you've got an old machine laying around, I'm kind of tempted to install this on one of my old machines and see how it would perform. I might do that and maybe show you the results of that. If I were to come in here and do the updates, let's see what we're looking at there. Okay. Update all. I'm going to go ahead and let that run. And it's going to ask me for my password, as Linux will always do when it does updates. I like this. It's showing you percentage of each task as it's doing it and installing it. which is rather user-friendly of it. Nice. But anyway, I just wanted to give that a quick once-over, let you see it. Now see we're up to date. That was pretty quick. It's all actually pretty quick when you get right down to it. But wanted to let you see that, and we will call it right here. But remember, until next time, that the doctor is out of here. Dr. Bill, the Computer Curmudgeon, is a production of DrBillBailey.net with all the honors, rights, and privileges thereunto appertaining. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ding the bell to be notified of future videos.